Hey there and welcome back. So today we're going to look at the basics to do with locomotives and things like that, basics in terms of what you'll hear. Again, I wanted to do this the week after because I just didn't want to leave it too long between videos like this, because there were some great comments about the one that I did last week. Thank you so much for that. And yeah, I just thought it'd be cool to follow that up, with the one about the locomotive, so kind of watch them both together or something like that. But anyway, right, so let's talk about, now I have got bits down here, I've got my notepad down here, so if you see me just looking off, I'm just getting something, or I'm just checking that I've got everything covered. Right, now let's talk about one of the very first things when it comes to a locomotive, and that is DCC. Now, if you're just starting, you may get asked, are you running DCC or just analog or DC? And we covered that last week about what it's about. Now, if you've got either of those train sets and setups, and you're kind of like, well, how would I know? If I just want to buy a local off the shelf in a box, how would I know? And we've got a couple here what we can show you. We do have some spoilers. So this one, as you can see, this is a Bachmann train. This has got a nice big sound fitted on it, and it's got again sound fitted on the end of the box. And if it's sound fitted, then that will be DCC, because it is a digital decoder what controls all the sound. So just to show, like I said, an example of a Bachmann box, if we go to Hornby, and obviously Hornby one of the mainstays, now Hornby do it in a more simple way, but it's also color coded as well, which I think is brilliant. So on this one, as you can see, we have the DCC ready. Now DCC ready means that, oh, I'm sorry, and you've got the blue sticker as well. DCC ready means that it has the capability to be fitted with a decoder, but it isn't installed on the locomotive. If we go to one of these ones, excuse me, and you see here we've got a nice red label saying DCC fitted. Get the box camera, not me, come on. And we've also got the 21 pin. Now, the 21 pin refers to the number of pins on the decoder what you would fit. Now there's all sorts of different ones, and this is where I'm a little bit thingy about it, because instead of there just being a universal few, like 8 and 21 used to be the common ones that you got, an 8-pin decoder, 21-pin decoder. Now you've got 18, you've got Plux 22, and it's just all to do with different manufacturers, and then with them wanting you to fit their own decoder, and not using somebody else's, which I think so a little bit. It would be fantastic if we could just have it where one set of decoders would fit any train, no matter what was fitted. It just, yeah, it's done for a reason obviously, but it just seems a bit daft to me. Anyway, so as you can see, so this one says on its 21 pin, and again on the box on the side as well. So yeah, so that's just a bit different way of, and hang on, just bear with me 1 second. And you've also got ones like these where you've got a big DCC fitted sticker on the side as well. So yeah, so that's just the basic and easy way to tell. Right, now then, obviously if you remember we talked about radius and what trains can run on what. All manufacturers do it, but some I think do it a bit better than others and make it a lot simpler, because you've got your your R1, 2, 3 and 4 radius, R1 being the smallest, R4 being the largest. Now with Hornby, if I show you this, right, just do that, there we go. So it will say here minimum radius 438 millimeters. Now unless you have the like the little booklet what tells you the width of your radius, I know what that is, just obviously because I've been doing this for a while, and this is our 2 or second radius, but it would just be nice if they made it a little bit simpler on this for people to look at. Now if you take, say, here we go, so this is a dapol one, excuse me. Now on the dapol box, come on, there we go, on the dapol box you can see there that it's got, in fact, here we go, see there, Plux 22, just a reference to the decoder, what you would need if it's not fitted, or obviously this is fitted, so it's just telling you what's inside it. But on here you can see there it tells you the millimeters of the track, but more simply there are 2. So that means that this locomotive, and this is why I was saying last week about recommending second radius and bigger, because R2 is what pretty much anything will run on, and this is quite a large locomotive. And yeah, some of them, when they say that, it's just so much easier. R1, R2, R3, it's more commonly talked about, so it's just a better way to do it. However, and there is a however, because, let me just open the box for a second. As you can see, slight spoiler alert, we have this. Now this is, I won't go into everything. This is a large locomotive. However, some larger locomotives do cater for the tiny track, and if we look on this one actually says R1, which for people who are a bit shorter on space, then you can run a quite large locomotive, you know, on a tighter track, which is fantastic, because normally on a tighter track like an R1 you would just normally run something like this, which is obviously quite small, because the other trains, they will, like I said last week, they'll be going around and then they'll just go wheels are too tight, corners too tight, dink, and come off, and yeah, you'll be a bit gutted if you can't obviously run your trains on it. Now, so that's just a little bit about, you know, DCC when choosing a new or newer locomotive. So the next one is, people talk about couplings. So you've got decouplings, you've got your get my words out, you've got your newer smaller decouplings, and you've got NEM pockets. Now it's kind of basically just the two, but I'll show you. So I would say the older couplings are decouplings, which are these. Now as you can see there, it looks like a big letter D, and there's not much that you can do with this. As you can see, it's molded into the body, and if these were to get damaged, to be honest, they don't normally, they're quite robust, but if say all of this was to break, it's a bit of a pain to change them. Now you also have your larger decouplings where you can change out. So if you see here, this one's got a screw in it, so if anything happens to this, you can find one of these, unscrew it, screw the new one in. Absolutely brilliant. Now, and just to show you an example, so here is the newer version, which is less intrusive, which is just making it, you know, so it looks more natural. Now what you can do with certain locomotives is the thing called a chain link. Now a chain link coupling is basically what gets used in real life. On some trains, on some models, they do have, there we go, these little, you can just see it there, these little tiny hooks, and that's where this will go on. Normally they're mainly used on bigger gauges like O gauges and higher, O gauge and higher, just because for the most part it would be way too fiddly to try and do this. It could be done, I'm sure people have done it, but yeah. And obviously if you watch reviews, people going about sprung buffers, that's when these come more into effect. So as you can see, just showing on that, again we've got this smaller decoupling, what screws in at the bottom. Now what I will do, I'll just go back to this one for a second. Now the NEM pocket coupling is a lot newer, and it's brilliant for a number of reasons. One, as you can see, it's a lot smaller, but if I do this, so you see here you've got a small, hang on, let me just try and get this right, there we go. You see here, you've got a small little pocket there, and this coupling slides into that pocket. Now what I will do, let me just quickly see if I can take this one out. Bear with me 1 second. Right. Okay, I will need a little screwdriver to do this. But, there we go. Now, the good thing with these NEM pocket couplings is you can change them out. There's different ones you can get, and there's magnetic ones that are out, and these are meant to be more realistic, so it's easier to, you know, connect and disconnect from trains. Because with these type, unless you've got like a handy little tool what can lift them up out of the way, you kind of have to like do all this to unhook them. Your NEM couplings, however, as you can see, if I try and get this back right again, there we go. So what I've been able to do is to pull this out. So if anything happens, if anything breaks, these are a lot easier to change. The coupling in, all you do is, that's it, and then that coupling is in. All done. And again, you can change it for different types of couplings, like I said, you know, your magnetic ones and things like that. So yeah, that was a bit long-winded, but I do apologise. Now, another very basic one, easy one, is you may hear DMU, EMU. Basically, DMU is a diesel multiple unit, EMU is an electric multiple unit. So an EMU would typically be something like this, Virgin Pendolino, which would run on electric. A DMU, or diesel multiple unit, I mean, don't get me wrong, if you've got a, if there's an older one, like you may hear a HST, which is a high-speed train, like a class 43, which is an older train, that is diesel. But they do tend to call them after the class name. I'll go on to that in just a second. So, and DMU typically is, like I said, something like this, a diesel multiple unit, and you'll have one of them which drives, the others are basically coaches, and they'll connect it in different ways. Again, some of them can connect like this one, just with these. Some will have a little electric connection, which allows for lights on both of the carriages, like front or back or inside or something like that. So that's just a very, very basic thing into like different ones. Now, right, 1 second, I need to just stop and set the camera off again. Now, if you manage to keep the same face pulled, you won't notice the difference. If you do, you might see this. Now, a lot of the times, you might hear something to go with the steam engine of, say, 040, 060, 210, 412, 3. No, that last one was made up. But you'll hear a very common term, say like, oh, that's a 040, that's an 060. And basically that is the setup of the steam train. So on this one, this is a 040. Now your first number is the wheels at the front of the train. Your second number is the wheels in the middle, your driving wheels. Your third number is if there's any wheels after the driving wheels. So this one is an 040 because you've got 0 wheels at the front, you've got 4 wheels at the back, and you've got 0 wheels under the cab or behind the driving wheels. Again, this one is a 060, so you've got 0 wheels at the front, you've got 6 wheels in the middle, and then you've got 0 wheels at the back. If we go to, now this is a bit of a spoiler because I don't think I've shown this one yet. This was a wonderful, wonderful find. Now this one, there we go. This one is, let me have a look. This one is a 280. So this one, you've got, sorry about the reflection, you've got 2 wheels here, you've got 4 wheels there, and you've got 0 wheels here. So this is known as a 280. Let me just have a look. Oh yeah, there is one more thing. Bogies! Oh dear, I'm actually not sorry for that one. Now, a bogie is this part of a train. Yes, it's not green and covered in snot. There. Basically, this is the setup what connects the train onto the rails. Every coach has them. You'll find that some locomotives have them, likes of these, and basically it's just another word for this whole thing here being a complete unit what connects up onto the train. I'm not entirely sure where or how that phrase comes about. I'm really not sure. It's a daft one, probably one that kids will like. He's got a bogie. But yeah, that's what it's called. So if someone's going on about, oh, my bogey's gone on my train, it's like, no, it's an actual thing, not a, I think that person's got issues. So, but yeah, so that is another quite comical part to do with the trains. Now let me just check. So I've got that, I've got that, I've got that. Now when it comes to steam trains, you've got a locomotive, and then you've got a locomotive and a tender. And in fact, I've got an absolutely cracking one to show you to explain that. So, looking at this, you've got your locomotive section here and your tender section here. Now locomotive and tender means that this part where your coal load, your water and what have you lives is separate from the main locomotive due to the size. So on a little train like this, the coal load would be, it's actually missing on this one. I'll use this one. Your coal load is on the back. Your water goes in these tanks what are fitted down the side of the train, and everything's all in the one place. There's different ways that these connect together. Some of them have a little tiny drawbar which just hooks in. Some of them, like this one, you have to be careful with because they've got an electrical connection. Now, there's nothing wrong with it, you know, it will still pull a ton without, you know, coming apart. You do need to be a little bit careful. On some of the older ones, you may hear a Ringfield motor, which is a very old Hornby motor, but again, it's a fantastic motor to go with the trains. Not as smooth as the newer ones for running, but I've got some trains which I've got the original motors fitted to them, and they're like 30 years old and it's still going strong, which is just a testament to how good they are. Now what you'll find is they have a pin on the front, and then on the loco here, it's got a little tiny drawbar, and the pin slots inside the drawbar, and that's how that connects. And that's another great little way of putting them together, and when they're together they aren't coming apart. So if you have a train like that, then you do need to be more careful, because if you just pick up the loco and the tender goes like that sort of thing, you know, it can break. Just there's no other way to say it, you know, it's highly likely that it will break, especially with some new models being made of metal and everything, like the Dapple Black Label what I showed the other week. The whole thing of that is metal, so got to be careful, otherwise it could just snap off, and then, you know, it's kind of a bit busted. But yeah, so you do have to be careful with them. But anyway, that's how they connect together. Now there is one last little thing. There's two last little things, so I'm sorry if this video's gone on a bit, but I'm trying not to do it in a boring way. So again, like the last video, hope you're enjoying it. You'll hear people talking about a class of locomotive. Say a steam train may be called Flying Scotsman, Tornado, Queen Elizabeth. That's just the name of that type. Basically each loco, each train, each steam train, diesel, they all have like different names. So if you hear someone saying, for argument's sake, oh, I've got a brilliant class 37 that I like, there's some which are more well known than others. So if someone says a class 37, it's one of those. Now the class, it actually does tell you on the train. So class 37, if you look at this, do you know what, trust me to get the side without the number. If you look at the right side, you can see there the first two numbers, 37. That refers to what class that this is. With steam trains it tends to be different. It doesn't tend to have that on them. People kind of recognise them. So like a Flying Scotsman is a A1 or A3 style locomotive. You've got this one which clearly labelled as a Block 5. You have got this one is a class 88, and again the first two numbers start with 88. Again, class 37 is that, and in fact it will even say there low haul class 37, and then you got your first two numbers. Again, this one, in fact, here we go, this one, see there, 280. So in fact I forgot about that before, but there you go, look, absolutely brilliant. So this one is a WD Austerity, and there are weird and wonderful names, like you've got your Virgin Pendolino, which is a class 390, and again if you look here, hang on, right, I think no, that's about as close as I can get. It's got 390 and then the number, which is the number of the train after it. So you've got all sorts of weird and wonderful like names or numbers on trains. Where we've got this one is a, for argument's sake, this one is a 47, as you can see, the first two numbers and then the number of the loco after it. And there are some what are a lot more commonly used, like a 37, everyone seems to know what that is. A class 43, everyone seems to know what that is. I think that is everything covered. So again, I'd like to apologise if this has been a bit long and drawn out and I've gone off a little bit on a couple of times, but there's actually more to cover on that than I thought there was going to be. I thought this would be a lot shorter, but yeah, so hopefully for anyone just starting out, there's just like, again, a bit of a basics to do with locos, trains, all that good stuff, and just gives you a bit of an idea of some of the model railway talk, well, or just general train talk, because obviously these are based on real life models. But yeah, so anyway, if there's the kick of the camera, damn, I thought I got away with it this time. But anyway, again, if you've made it through to the end, you're a legend, and thank you so much for watching. And hopefully for beginners, again, this is just, even if it helps out one person, absolutely fantastic. So that's everything. With that being said, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thumbs up, like and subscribe if you would. That would be absolutely fantastic. It's free to do. It'll help us to just progress even more in this YouTube journey, and I still can't believe we've got over 1,000 subscribers. Like, what? But yeah, so thank you very much. And with that being said, we shall see you in the next video.